The fluorescent lights buzzed softly in the empty hallway of Hartwell Music Academy. Maya Santos pushed her cleaning cart slowly across the polished marble floor. The wheels squeaked with each step she took. It was almost 9 o'clock at night, and most of the students had gone home hours ago. Maya was 42 years old, but her hands looked much older. Years of scrubbing floors and cleaning bathrooms had left them rough and wrinkled. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she wore the same gray uniform she had worn for the past 5 years. The name tag on her chest said Maya, custodial staff, in small black letters. She stopped outside practice room 7 and listened. Someone was still playing inside. The music floated through the heavy wooden door. It was beautiful, but Maya could hear the mistakes. The student was playing too fast in some parts and too slow in others. She smiled a little. She had heard this piece many times before. It was Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major. Maya waited until the music stopped. Then she knocked gently on the door. A young woman opened it. She had long blonde hair and wore expensive clothes. Her violin case sat open on the chair beside her. She looked at Maya with an annoyed expression. "I need to clean," Maya said quietly. The girl rolled her eyes. "Fine, I'm done anyway." She grabbed her things and walked past Maya without saying thank you. The smell of her perfume filled the small hallway. Maya wheeled her cart into the practice room. She had cleaned this room hundreds of times. The walls were covered with sound-absorbing panels. A beautiful black piano sat in the corner. It was a Steinway grand piano, worth more money than Maya made in 5 years. She began wiping down the music stands and chairs, but her eyes kept moving toward the piano. She loved this room most of all because of that piano. When she was sure no one was watching, Maya would sometimes touch the keys, just for a moment, just to remember. Tonight she put down her cleaning cloth and walked over to the piano. She looked at the door to make sure it was closed. Then she sat down on the bench. Her heart beat faster as she lifted the cover over the keys. The black and white keys seemed to glow under the soft lights. Maya placed her fingers on the keys. She did not press them down yet. She just felt the smooth surface beneath her rough skin. For a moment she was not a janitor anymore. For a moment she was young again. She pressed down softly. A single note rang out in the quiet room. Then another. And another. Her fingers began to move in patterns she had not played in 24 years. The muscle memory was still there, buried deep inside her hands. The door suddenly burst open. Maya jumped up from the piano bench so fast she almost knocked it over. 3 students stood in the doorway staring at her. 2 boys and a girl. They all wore the academy's expensive jacket with the school crest on it. "What are you doing?" one of the boys asked. He was tall with perfect hair and a mean smile. His name was Brandon, and Maya had seen him many times before. He was always surrounded by other students who laughed at everything he said. "I was just—" Maya's face turned red. "I was checking if the keys needed cleaning." Brandon laughed. "By playing it? Does the cleaning lady think she's a pianist?" The other students laughed with him. Maya felt her stomach twist into a knot. She wanted to disappear. She wanted to be anywhere but in that room with those 3 students staring at her and laughing. "I'm sorry," Maya said. "I should not have touched it." "Yeah, you shouldn't have," Brandon said. He walked into the room like he owned it. "This piano costs more than your whole life. People like you should just stick to mopping floors." The girl with Brandon pulled out her phone and started recording. "This is so funny," she said. "Wait until everyone sees this." Maya felt tears starting to form in her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She had been through worse things than this. She had survived much harder times. She would not cry in front of these spoiled children. "I need to finish cleaning," Maya said. She tried to walk past them, but Brandon stepped in her way. "Not so fast," he said. "I want to hear you play. If you're going to touch our piano, at least show us what you can do. Play us something." "Please, I need to work," Maya said. "Come on, play for us," Brandon insisted. His friends were laughing now. They thought this was the funniest thing they had seen all week. The noise in the hallway attracted attention. More students began to gather outside the practice room. They peered through the doorway, wondering what was happening. Some of them had their phones out, ready to record whatever came next. "What's going on here?" A sharp voice cut through the laughter. Everyone turned to see Ms. Chen, one of the piano instructors at the academy. She was a small woman with glasses and a strict expression. Students feared her because she never accepted excuses for poor practice or missed lessons. "Nothing, Miss Chen." Brandon said quickly. We just caught the janitor playing the piano. Ms. Chen looked at Maya, then at Brandon, then at all the students crowding in the hallway. Her expression did not change. All of you should be home by now. Practice hours ended at 8. We were just leaving, Brandon said. But don't you think it's weird? The cleaning lady was sitting at the piano like she was about to give a concert. Some students giggled. Ms. Chen's eyes narrowed. She looked tired and annoyed. It had been a long day for her, too. She had been teaching since 7 in the morning. I apologize, Ms. Chen, Maya said softly. It won't happen again. It certainly won't, Ms. Chen said coldly. Then maybe because she was tired, or maybe because Brandon's attitude annoyed her, she said something she would later regret. Although, if you think you're so talented, perhaps you should audition for our student showcase next Friday. We have one spot left. The hallway went completely silent. Everyone stared at Ms. Chen. She had just invited the janitor to audition for the most prestigious event of the year. The student showcase was where the best musicians at Hartwell Academy performed for wealthy donors and important people from the music world. Brandon started laughing first. Then everyone else joined in. The laughter echoed off the walls and filled the hallway with cruel sound. Ms. Chen's face turned slightly red. She realized what she had just said. She had meant it as sarcasm, as a way to end the situation quickly, but now the words hung in the air and there was no way to take them back. That's actually a great idea, Brandon said, still laughing. We should definitely see the janitor perform. It'll be hilarious. Maya looked at Ms. Chen. The instructor avoided her eyes. Maya could see that Ms. Chen regretted her words. But Maya also saw something else in that moment. She saw how these people looked at her, not as a person with a past or a story, just as a janitor, just as someone who cleaned up after them. Something changed inside Maya. A spark of old pride flickered to life. Once, a long time ago, she had been someone. She had been respected. She had been admired. Before life had forced her to become invisible. Where do I sign up? Maya heard herself say. The laughter stopped. Everyone stared at her with shocked faces. What? Brandon said. For the audition? Maya said, her voice stronger now. Where do I sign up? Ms. Chen blinked several times. The sign-up sheet is in the main office. But you don't have to. I wasn't serious, I am serious, Maya said. She looked directly at Brandon. I will audition. Brandon's smile grew wider. This is going to be amazing. Please do it. Please audition. I can't wait to see this. He pulled out his phone. Within seconds, he was typing furiously. Maya knew he was texting all his friends. By tomorrow morning, everyone at the academy would know. The janitor thinks she can play piano. The janitor is going to audition. Ms. Chen looked uncomfortable now. Maya, you really don't have to do this. I shouldn't have said that. It was inappropriate. But Maya was already walking past her, pushing her cleaning cart down the hallway. I will be there Friday night, she said without turning around. What time? 7 o'clock, Ms. Chen said quietly. But Maya did not stop walking. She could hear the students behind her, their excited voices discussing what had just happened. She could hear their laughter following her down the hallway like a shadow. When she reached the supply closet, Maya finally stopped. She leaned against the wall and closed her eyes. What had she just done? What had she been thinking? She had not really played piano in over 2 decades. Her fingers were stiff and old. She worked 12-hour days, 6 days a week. When would she even practice? But deeper than the fear was something else. Anger, pride, a need to prove that she was more than what they saw. More than a woman in a gray uniform who emptied their trash and cleaned their bathrooms. Maya pulled out her phone. It was old and cracked, but it still worked. She called her daughter Mom. Sophia answered. Maya could hear music playing in the background. Sophia was probably doing homework in their small apartment. Mija, I need to tell you something, Maya said. What's wrong? You sound weird. Maya took a deep breath. I just did something crazy. She told Sophia everything. About the students finding her at the piano. About the laughter. About Ms. Chen's sarcastic invitation. About how she had agreed to audition in front of the whole school. There was silence on the other end of the line. Maya waited. She expected Sophia to tell her she was being foolish, to tell her to forget about it and not embarrass herself. Mom, Sophia finally said, did you really play piano? I mean, before? Yes, Maya said. A long time ago. Before you were born. Before everything. Why didn't you ever tell me? Maya felt her throat tighten. Because that life is gone. That person is gone. I am just a janitor now. No, Sophia said firmly. You are my mother. And if you say you can play piano, then you can play piano. Those rich kids have no idea who you really are. I don't even know if I can still do it, Maya admitted. It has been so long. Then you practice, Sophia said simply. When is the audition? Friday night. That's 6 days. The academy closes at 10, right? So after everyone leaves, you practice. Every night. Sophia, I don't know. Mom, you have spent your whole life taking care of me. Working jobs you hate so I can have a better life. Let me see you do something for yourself, please. Maya felt tears on her cheeks now, but they were different from the tears she had held back earlier. These tears were not from shame. They were from something else. Something she had not felt in years. Okay, Maya whispered. I will try. You'll do more than try, Sophia said. You'll show them. After they hung up, Maya stood in the supply closet for a long moment. Then she finished her cleaning for the night. She worked through every hallway, every classroom, every bathroom. Her body was tired, but her mind was racing. When the clock struck 10 and the building was finally empty, Maya returned to practice room 7. She closed the door behind her and locked it. She turned off the overhead lights, leaving only the small lamp near the piano. She sat down at the bench. Her heart was pounding. She placed her hands on the keys and tried to remember, not just the notes but the feeling. The joy she used to have when she played. Her fingers felt thick and clumsy. The first sounds that came out were wrong, harsh, ugly. She stopped and tried again. Still wrong. Her hands did not move the way they used to. They did not flow across the keys with grace and ease. Maya felt frustration building inside her chest. Maybe Brandon was right. Maybe she was just a janitor who had foolish dreams. Maybe she should quit now before she humiliated herself in front of everyone. But then she thought of Sophia's voice on the phone. She thought of all the sacrifices she had made. She thought of the girl she used to be before life had beaten the music out of her. Maya closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She let her hands rest on the keys without pressing down. She remembered her grandmother's voice from so long ago. Music is not in your fingers, Machita. It is in your heart. Let your heart guide you. She began to play again, this time slower, gentler, not trying to be perfect, just trying to remember what it felt like to make music. Note by note, the sounds began to come together. They were still rough and imperfect. But underneath the mistakes, underneath the years of rust and silence, there was something. A melody, a memory, a ghost of the musician she had once been. Maya played until midnight. Her fingers ached and her back hurt from sitting. But she felt more alive than she had felt in years. When she finally left the academy that night, she walked past the bulletin board in the main hallway. There she saw the sign-up sheet for the Friday showcase. Several names were already written on it in neat handwriting. Maya took the pen that hung from a string beside the sheet. Her hand shook slightly as she wrote her name at the very bottom of the list. The ink looked dark against the white paper. Maya Santos. She whispered to herself. 7 p.m. Friday. She walked out into the cold night air. The streets were quiet. Her old car sat in the parking lot, the only vehicle left. As she drove home through the empty streets, Maya felt fear and excitement mixing together in her chest. In 6 days, everyone would be watching her. The students, the teachers, the parents. They would all expect her to fail. They would come to laugh at the janitor who thought she could play piano like the rich students. But Maya had survived things that none of those students could imagine. She had crossed an ocean to give her daughter a better life. She had worked jobs that broke her body and her spirit. She had endured humiliation and hardship that would have destroyed weaker people. Maybe she would fail on Friday. Maybe she would embarrass herself in front of everyone. But at least she would try. At least she would step onto that stage and show them that she was brave enough to take the chance. Maya pulled into the parking lot of her apartment building. It was a small, rundown complex in the cheapest part of town. The paint was peeling and the stairs creaked. But it was home. Sophia was waiting up for her. She jumped off the couch when Maya walked in. "Well?" Sophia asked. "Did you practice?" Maya nodded. She could not speak because emotion had closed up her throat. Sophia hugged her tightly. "I'm proud of you, Mom. I don't even know what I'm going to play yet," Maya said. "Or what I'm going to wear. Or how I'm going to get through this without having a heart attack." "We'll figure it out," Sophia said. "Together." That night, Maya lay in bed unable to sleep. She stared at the ceiling and thought about the last time she had performed in front of people. She had been 18 years old. Her grandmother had been in the front row, smiling with pride. The whole world had been open in front of her, full of possibilities. Then her father had gotten sick. Then the bills had come. Then the dreams had died one by one, until there was nothing left except survival. But maybe, Maya thought, maybe it is not too late. Maybe she could still show the world who she really was. Not just a janitor, not just a tired woman in a gray uniform, but someone with talent, someone with a story, someone who mattered. Outside her window, the city lights twinkled like distant stars. Somewhere out there, Brandon and his friends were probably still laughing about what had happened. They were probably already planning how they would record her failure and share it with everyone. Let them laugh, Maya thought. Let them make their plans. She would make plans too. She would practice every night. She would remember everything her grandmother had taught her, and on Friday night she would walk onto that stage with her head held high. Whatever happened after that, at least she would know she had tried. At least she would know she had been brave enough to take back a piece of the person she used to be. Maya finally fell asleep as the first light of dawn began to creep through her window. And in her dreams she played piano for a crowd that did not laugh. In her dreams, her fingers flew across the keys like they used to, and the music filled the air like magic. In 6 days, she would find out if those dreams could become real. Maya woke up early on Saturday morning, even though she did not have to work. Her whole body ached from the hours she had spent at the piano the night before. Her fingers felt stiff and sore, but her mind was clear. She had 5 days left to prepare. Sophia was already awake, sitting at their small kitchen table with her laptop open. She looked up when Maya walked in. "I've been researching," Sophia said. "What piece are you going to play?" Maya poured herself a cup of coffee. The apartment was cold and she wrapped her hands around the warm mug. "I don't know yet. It has to be something I used to know well, something that might still be in my fingers." "What did you used to play? When you were younger?" Maya sat down across from her daughter. She had never talked much about her life before. It was too painful, too full of memories of everything she had lost. "I played many things," Maya said quietly. "My grandmother taught me from the time I was 5 years old. She was a very famous pianist in Manila. Everyone knew her name." Sophia's eyes were wide. "Really? Why didn't you ever tell me this?" "Because it feels like a different life, like it happened to a different person." Maya took a sip of her coffee. "My grandmother believed I had a gift. She said my fingers were blessed. She trained me every single day. Hours and hours of practice, and did you like it? Or did she force you?" Maya smiled a little. "I loved it. Playing piano was the only thing I ever wanted to do. When I was at the piano, nothing else mattered. Not school, not friends, not anything. Just the music. So what happened? Why did you stop?" Maya's smile faded. "Your grandfather got very sick when I was 18. Cancer. The treatment was expensive. Very expensive. We had no money. My grandmother was too old to work. I was the only one who could help." Sophia reached across the table and took her mother's hand. "I had been offered a scholarship," Maya continued, "to study in Vienna. It was my dream. But I could not leave my father. So I stayed. I got a job at a hotel, then another job at a restaurant, then another job cleaning offices at night. I worked and sent all my money for his treatment." "Did he get better?" Maya shook her head. "He died after 2 years. By then I had no time for music anymore. I was too busy surviving. Then I met your father. We got married quickly. Too quickly. I was pregnant with you 6 months later. And then he left," Sophia said quietly. "Yes. When you were 2 years old, he said he wanted to go to America to find work. He promised to send for us. He sent money for a while, then the money stopped. Then the phone calls stopped. I never heard from him again." Sophia squeezed her mother's hand. "I'm sorry, Mom, don't be sorry. If he had stayed, I would never have come to America. And you would not have the opportunities you have now. Everything happens for a reason, Mija." They sat in silence for a moment. Outside they could hear the sounds of the city waking up. Cars honking, people shouting, sirens in the distance. "So what piece will you play?" Sophia asked again. Maya thought carefully. "There is one piece I played for my final examination before everything changed. Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2. But that is too difficult. I could never learn it again in 5 days. What else? Maybe something by Chopin. I used to play his nocturnes very well. Or maybe Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. Something people know. Something beautiful. Sophia typed on her laptop. It says here that Rachmaninoff's concerto is one of the hardest pieces in classical piano. It takes professional pianists months to learn it. Years sometimes, Maya said. It is not just technically difficult. It requires deep emotion. You have to have lived life to play it properly. When I was 18, I could play the notes. But I did not understand the music. Not really. And now? Maya looked out the window at the gray morning sky. Now I have lived enough life for 10 pieces like that. But my fingers are old and slow. My body is tired. I don't know if I can do it anymore. Then don't try to be perfect, Sophia said. Just play something that shows them who you are. Something that tells your story. Maya nodded slowly. You are right. This is not about being perfect. This is about showing them I am more than they think I am. She stood up and walked to the small closet in the hallway. She pulled out a box from the top shelf. Dust covered the lid. She had not opened this box in 15 years. Inside were old photographs. Maya as a young girl sitting at a piano much too big for her. Maya as a teenager, holding a trophy after winning a competition. Her grandmother standing beside her smiling with pride. Programs from concerts. Newspaper clippings with her name and photograph. Sophia came to stand beside her mother. She looked at the photographs with amazement. Mom, you were famous. Look at all these people in the audience. I'm not famous, Maya said. Just known. Just respected. For a little while. There was one photograph that made Maya's breath catch in her throat. It showed her at age 18, dressed in a beautiful gown, standing on a stage in front of a full orchestra. She was about to play Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2 for her final examination. Her face in the photograph looked young and confident and full of dreams. This is who I used to be, Maya whispered. This is who you still are, Sophia said. You just forgot for a while. Maya closed the box and put it back in the closet. I need to go to the academy. I need to practice. It's Saturday. Will it be open? The building is always open for students with key cards. But as a janitor, I have keys to every room. Maya smiled a little. For once, being a janitor is an advantage. She changed into clean clothes and drove to the academy. The parking lot was half full. Some students practiced on weekends, especially the serious ones who wanted to attend prestigious music schools. Maya parked in the employee lot and used her key to enter through the back door. She walked quickly through the hallways, trying not to be seen. She did not want to face any students today. She did not want to see their mocking faces or hear their laughter. Practice room 7 was empty. Maya locked the door behind her and sat down at the piano. The morning light came through the small window and made the keys glow. She began with simple exercises, scales, arpeggios, things her grandmother had taught her when she was a child. Her fingers stumbled over notes that used to come easily. The sound was rough and uneven. After an hour, her hands hurt badly. She took a break and shook them out. This was going to be harder than she thought. Maya tried playing a simple piece by Mozart. It was something every beginning student learned. But even this felt difficult. Her timing was off. Her fingers hit wrong notes. She sounded worse than the students she listened to every night while she cleaned. Frustration built up inside her chest. Maybe this was a terrible mistake. Maybe she should just tell Ms. Chen she had changed her mind. Maybe she should accept that some dreams stay dead once they die. But then she remembered Brandon's face. His cruel smile, the way he had laughed at her, the way all of them had looked at her like she was nothing. Maya took a deep breath and started again. She practiced for 4 hours straight. By the time she left, her fingers were red and swollen. Her back ached from sitting. But some of the pieces were starting to come back to her, slowly, painfully, but they were coming back. On Sunday, Maya returned to the academy again. This time she saw Brandon in the hallway with his friends. They were laughing about something. When Brandon saw Maya, his smile grew even wider. "Hey, it's the piano player," he called out loudly. His friends turned to look. "Are you practicing for your big performance?" "Because I've been telling everyone about it. The whole school is so excited." Maya did not respond. She walked past them with her head down, heading for the practice rooms. "Don't be nervous," Brandon called after her. "I'm sure you'll be amazing." I mean, how hard can it be, right? If you can push 'em up, you can push piano keys. His friends burst out laughing. The sound followed Maya down the hallway like an echo. In practice room 7, Maya closed the door and leaned against it. Her heart was pounding. Her hands were shaking. For a moment she felt like running, just leaving the building and never coming back. But then she thought of Sophia and her grandmother, and all the dreams she had buried so deep she had almost forgotten they existed. Maya sat down at the piano and began to play. Monday came, and Maya had to work her regular shift at the academy. As she pushed her cleaning cart through the hallways, she heard students talking about her. Some of them pointed and whispered. Others laughed openly. In the cafeteria, she overheard a group of students making bets about what would happen on Friday. Bet she doesn't even show up. One girl said, I bet she plays for 10 seconds and then runs off crying. A boy said, I bet she plays Mary Had a Little Lamb. Brandon said. Everyone at his table laughed. Maya kept her head down and kept working. She cleaned their tables and emptied their trash. She pretended not to hear them, but every word cut into her like a knife. That night, after everyone left, Maya practiced until 2 in the morning. She had decided what to play. Not something safe and easy. Not something that would just get her through the audition without embarrassment. She would play Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2, the piece from the photograph. The piece that required not just skill but soul. It was crazy. It was impossible. She had only 4 days left. But Maya did not care about possible anymore. If she was going to do this, she would do it right. She would play the piece that meant something. The piece that told her story. Tuesday night, Sophia came to the academy to watch her mother practice. Maya had given her a spare key. Sophia sat in the corner of practice room 7 with her homework spread out on a chair. Maya played the opening movement of the concerto. Her fingers tripped over the difficult passages. She missed notes. She lost her timing. When she finished, she put her head in her hands. It's terrible, Maya said. I sound like a student who just started learning. This piece is too hard. I should choose something else. Sophia stood up and walked over to the piano. Play it again. What's the point? I can't do it. Play it again, Sophia repeated. And this time, don't think about the notes. Think about why you're playing it. Think about everything you've been through. Think about Grandpa and Great-Grandma and coming to America and all the jobs you've worked and every time someone made you feel small. Put all of that into the music. Maya looked at her daughter. When had Sophia become so wise? She was only 17 years old, but sometimes she seemed older than Maya. Maya placed her hands on the keys again. She closed her eyes, and she thought about everything Sophia had said. When she began to play this time, something shifted. The notes were still imperfect. She still made mistakes. But underneath the mistakes, there was feeling. There was pain and loss and hope and determination. The music was not just sound anymore. It was a story. When Maya finished, she opened her eyes. Sophia was crying. That, Sophia said quietly. That is what you need to play on Friday. Wednesday was Maya's day off from work. She spent 12 hours at the academy, practicing until her fingers bled. Literally bled. The rough edges of some keys had cut into her worn skin. Sophia brought her bandages and food. Mom, you need to rest. I can't rest. I only have 2 more days. You're going to hurt yourself, but Maya could not stop. The music had awakened something inside her that had been sleeping for too long. Every note she played was a memory coming back to life. Every chord was a piece of herself she had thought was lost forever. By Thursday, word had spread far beyond the academy. Someone had posted about Maya's audition on social media. The video of Brandon confronting her in the practice room had gone viral locally. Hundreds of people had seen it. Most of the comments were cruel. Who does she think she is? This is going to be so embarrassing. I feel bad for her. Someone should tell her not to do this, but some comments were different. I hope she's amazing and proves everyone wrong. Rooting for the cleaning lady. She has courage. That's more than most people have. Maya tried not to read the comments. But Sophia showed her the supportive ones. See, Mom, not everyone wants you to fail. Some people are cheering for you. Thursday night was Maya's last chance to practice. She worked her regular shift first, cleaning the academy from 6 to 10. Then she went to practice room 7 for the last time before the audition. She played the concerto 3 times all the way through. The first time, she made many mistakes. The second time, it was better. The third time, something magical happened. Maya forgot about the audition. She forgot about Brandon and the other students. She forgot about being a janitor and being poor and being tired. She just played. And the music poured out of her like water from a broken dam. All the years of sacrifice, all the dreams that had died, all the times she had felt invisible and worthless and small, all of it came through her fingers and into the music. When she played the final notes, Maya sat in silence for a long moment. The room seemed to echo with the sound even after it had faded. She looked at her hands. They were covered in bandages. They were rough and scarred from years of hard work. But they could still make beauty. They could still tell her story. Maya stood up from the piano and looked around the practice room one last time. Tomorrow night, she would play on the big stage in front of hundreds of people. Tomorrow night, everyone would see if she really had what it took. If she was really more than just a janitor, she was terrified. Her heart raced every time she thought about it. But she was also ready. Maya locked up the practice room and walked through the dark academy hallways. Her footsteps echoed on the marble floors. She passed the bulletin board where the audition schedule hung. Her name was still there at the bottom of the list. The last performer of the night. Outside, the parking lot was empty except for her old car. The night air was cold and crisp. Stars shone overhead, bright and distant. Maya sat in her car for a moment before starting the engine. She thought about the girl in the photograph, the 18-year-old with the confident smile and the beautiful gown, standing in front of an orchestra. That girl had thought the whole world was open to her. She had thought nothing could stop her from becoming a great pianist. That girl had been wrong. Life had stopped her. Poverty had stopped her. Responsibility had stopped her. For 24 years, that girl had been buried under bills and work and exhaustion. But tomorrow night, Maya thought, tomorrow night that girl gets to come back, just for a little while. Just for one performance. Maya drove home through the quiet streets. When she got to the apartment, Sophia was still awake even though it was past midnight. How did it go? Sophia asked. I'm ready, Maya said simply. Sophia hugged her mother tightly. I'm so proud of you. No matter what happens tomorrow, I'm so proud of you. What if I fail? Maya whispered. What if I get up there and freeze? What if I can't do it? Then you fail, Sophia said. But at least you tried. At least you were brave enough to step on that stage. That's more than most people would do. Maya pulled back and looked at her daughter. When did you become so smart? Sophia smiled. I learned from watching you. You've been brave my whole life. You just didn't know it. That night, Maya lay in bed unable to sleep. Tomorrow was Friday. Tomorrow was the audition. Tomorrow everything would change. She thought about calling Ms. Chen and canceling. She thought about just not showing up. She thought about all the ways this could go wrong. But she also thought about her grandmother's voice. Music is not about being perfect, Mijita. It is about being honest. Play from your heart and your heart will never lie. Maya closed her eyes and tried to rest. In less than 24 hours, she would know if her heart was strong enough to carry her through. She would know if the girl in the photograph was still alive somewhere inside the tired woman in the gray uniform. And whatever happened, at least she would know she had tried. The alarm clock on Maya's phone went off at 6 in the morning. Friday had arrived. The day of the audition. Maya got out of bed and looked at herself in the bathroom mirror. She looked exhausted. Her eyes had dark circles under them. Her hair was messy. Her hands were covered in bandages. But somewhere deep in those tired eyes, she could see a spark of something else. Determination. Hope. Maybe even excitement. Today was the day she would take back a piece of who she used to be. Today was the day she would show everyone that she was more than they thought. Maya took a deep breath and began to get ready. In 12 hours, she would walk onto that stage. In 12 hours, she would sit at that piano in front of hundreds of people. In 12 hours, her whole life might change. Or she might fail spectacularly and become a joke that everyone would laugh about for years. Either way, there was no turning back now. Maya looked at her reflection one more time. You can do this, she whispered to herself. You have survived worse. You can survive this too. She just hoped she was right. Friday morning moved slowly. Maya could not eat breakfast. Her stomach was twisted into knots. Sophia made her tea and toast, but Maya could only manage a few sips and bites. You need to eat, Mom, Sophia said. You'll need energy for tonight. I can't, I feel sick. That's just nerves. It's normal. But Maya did not feel normal. She felt like she was going to throw up or pass out or both. What had she been thinking? She was a 42-year-old janitor, not a concert pianist. She had not performed in front of people in over 2 decades. This was insane. I can't do this, Maya said suddenly. I need to call Miss Chen and cancel. Sophia grabbed her mother's hand. Yes, you can do this. And you will. You've practiced all week. You know the piece. You can play it. But what if I forget? What if my hands shake? What if I make a fool of myself? Then you make a fool of yourself. But at least you tried. At least you didn't let them win. Maya looked at her daughter. Sophia's eyes were fierce and determined. She believed in her mother more than Maya believed in herself. Okay, Maya whispered. Okay, I'll do it. She had to work her regular shift at the academy that day. It was the longest shift of her life. Everywhere she went, students stared at her. Some whispered. Some laughed. A few looked at her with pity. Maya pushed her cleaning cart through the hallways like always. She emptied trash cans. She mopped floors. She cleaned bathrooms. But her mind was somewhere else. Her mind was already on that stage, sitting at that piano, with hundreds of eyes watching her. At lunchtime, Maya hid in the supply closet to eat her sandwich in peace. But even there, she could hear students talking in the hallway outside. I heard she used to play piano in her country, one voice said. Yeah, but that was like 100 years ago, another voice laughed. She's old now, and she's just a janitor. There's no way she's any good. My dad says this is cruel, a third voice said. He says Ms. Chen should never have challenged her like that. He says the school should stop the audition. Why? It's going to be hilarious. I can't wait to see her face when she realizes she can't do it. Maya closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She would not cry. She would not let them see her cry. The afternoon was even worse. Maya had to clean the concert hall where the audition would take place. The stage was huge, much bigger than she remembered. The seats stretched back in rows that seemed to go on forever. The piano sat in the center of the stage under a single spotlight. It was the Academy's best piano, a Steinway Model D Concert Grand, beautiful and perfect and intimidating. Maya walked up onto the stage slowly. Her footsteps echoed in the empty hall. She stood beside the piano and looked out at all those empty seats. In a few hours, they would be filled with people. All of them watching her. All of them waiting to see if she would succeed or fail. Her hands started to shake. Her heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears. What am I doing? Maya whispered to herself. I can't do this. I can't. Talking to yourself? A voice said. Maya spun around. Ms. Chen was standing at the back of the stage holding a clipboard. I'm sorry, Maya said quickly. I was just cleaning. I'll finish and leave. Ms. Chen walked forward. She looked tired and uncomfortable. Maya, I need to talk to you. Maya's heart sank. You want me to cancel? I understand. This was a mistake. No, Ms. Chen said. She sighed and rubbed her forehead. Actually, I wanted to apologize. What I said last week was inappropriate. I was tired and frustrated with Brandon, and I took it out on you. I never should have challenged you like that in front of all those students. Maya did not know what to say. You don't have to go through with this, Ms. Chen continued. I can announce that you've withdrawn. No one will blame you. In fact, most people will probably be relieved. This whole situation has become too public, too messy. For a moment, Maya wanted to accept. She wanted to say yes, please cancel it, please let me go back to being invisible. But then she thought of Sophia and her grandmother. And that photograph of the girl she used to be? No, Maya said quietly. I will perform. Ms. Chen looked surprised. Are you sure? It's not too late to change your mind. I'm sure. What will you play? Rachmaninoff. Piano Concerto No. 2. Ms. Chen's eyes went wide. That's one of the most difficult pieces in the classical repertoire. Maya, are you certain? Maybe you should choose something simpler, something shorter. I'm certain, Maya said. She was surprised by how steady her voice sounded. Inside, she was terrified. But outside, she kept her face calm. Ms. Chen studied her for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. Okay, you're scheduled last at 9:47. The auditions start at 7. There are 15 students performing before you. I'll be ready. Ms. Chen started to walk away, then turned back. Maya, for what it's worth, I hope you prove everyone wrong, including me. After Ms. Chen left, Maya sat down on the edge of the stage. Her hands were still shaking. She looked at the piano, then out at all those empty seats. "Please don't let me fail," she whispered to the empty hall. "Please." Maya finished her shift at 6 o'clock. She went to the employee locker room to change. She had brought the only nice dress she owned. It was simple and black, nothing fancy. She had bought it at a thrift store 3 years ago for a funeral. Her hands shook as she buttoned the dress. She looked at herself in the cracked mirror. The dress was a little too big. Her shoes were old and worn. Her hair was going gray at the temples. She did not look like a pianist. She looked like exactly what she was, a tired, middle-aged woman who cleaned buildings for a living. Maya felt tears starting to form in her eyes. This was a mistake. She should leave now. She should just walk out the back door and never come back. But then the locker room door opened. Sophia walked in carrying a small bag. "Mom," Sophia said, "I came as soon as school got out. I brought you something." She opened the bag and pulled out a blue dress. It was simple but elegant, much nicer than the black dress Maya was wearing. "Where did you get this?" Maya asked. "I borrowed it from my friend Emma. She's the same size as you. And look, I brought makeup too. Let me help you." "Miha, you don't have to." "Mom, let me help you. Please." Maya sat down on the bench. Sophia carefully applied makeup to her mother's face. Light foundation to cover the tiredness. A little blush to add color. Mascara to make her eyes stand out. Lipstick that was soft and natural. Then Sophia helped her change into the blue dress. It fit perfectly. The color made Maya's skin look warm and alive. "Now your hair," Sophia said. She brushed out Maya's hair and pinned it up in a simple but elegant style. When she was done, Sophia stepped back and smiled. "Look in the mirror." Maya turned to look at her reflection. She barely recognized herself. The tired janitor was gone. In her place was a woman who looked dignified, confident, beautiful. "Is that really me?" Maya whispered. "That's who you've always been," Sophia said. "We just had to remind you." There was a knock on the locker room door. A student assistant poked her head in. "Excuse me, are you Maya Santos? They're starting the auditions in 10 minutes. You need to come to the backstage area." Maya's heart jumped into her throat. "Already?" "Mom, you've got this," Sophia said. She squeezed her mother's hand. "I'll be in the audience. I'll be watching. And I'll be so proud of you no matter what happens." Maya hugged her daughter tightly. "Thank you, Miha, for everything." "Go show them who you are, Mom." Maya followed the student assistant through the hallways to the backstage area. Her legs felt weak. Her hands were cold and clammy. The blue dress suddenly felt too tight. She could not breathe properly. The backstage area was crowded with students. They were the other performers waiting for their turn. They all wore expensive concert clothes. Their instruments gleamed. They looked confident and prepared. When Maya walked in, everyone turned to stare at her. The room went quiet. Brandon was there holding his violin. When he saw Maya, a huge smile spread across his face. "Well, well, the guest of honor has arrived. Nice dress. Did you borrow it from someone?" Some of the other students laughed nervously. Others looked uncomfortable. A few looked at Maya with pity. "I hope you're ready for your moment in the spotlight," Brandon continued. "Everyone's talking about it. The hall is packed. I've never seen so many people at a student showcase before. They all came to see you." Maya's stomach twisted. "What do you mean, packed?" "I mean every seat is full," Brandon said. "Parents, students, teachers, and even people from outside the school. Someone posted about this on social media and it went viral. You're famous, or you will be after tonight." A girl standing near Brandon elbowed him. "Stop it, you're being mean." "I'm not being mean," Brandon said. "I'm being honest. Everyone is here to watch. That's a lot of pressure for someone who hasn't played in front of people in decades." The student assistant interrupted. "Okay, everyone, the auditions are about to start. Please stay quiet backstage. You'll be called when it's your turn." The students moved toward the stage door to peek out at the audience. Maya heard their whispers. "Wow, the hall really is packed. There must be 400 people out there, and this is crazy." Maya felt dizzy. 400 people, all of them waiting to see if she would fail. All of them probably expecting her to fail. She found a chair in the corner and sat down. She closed her eyes and tried to calm her breathing. In through the nose, out through the mouth, just like her grandmother had taught her before performances. "Remember, Mijita," her grandmother's voice echoed in her memory. The music is not about them. It is about you. Play for yourself. Play for your own heart. The rest does not matter. The first student was called to perform. Maya heard him walk onto the stage. She heard the audience applause. Then she heard him begin to play a Beethoven sonata. It was good. Very good, actually. The student was talented. One by one, the students performed. Maya heard violin solos and flute performances. She heard a cello piece that was beautiful and moving. She heard piano performances that were technically perfect. Each one made Maya's confidence shrink a little more. These were trained musicians, young, talented, and well-educated. What made her think she could compete with them? What made her think she belonged on the same stage? The minutes ticked by slowly. 7 o'clock became 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock became 9 o'clock. Student after student performed and returned backstage, looking relieved that their turn was over. Brandon performed at 9:15. He played a difficult violin piece by Paganini. It was flashy and impressive. When he came backstage, several students congratulated him. He looked very pleased with himself. "That's going to be hard to beat," he said loudly, looking directly at Maya. "But I'm sure you'll give it your best shot." Maya did not respond. She sat in her corner, her hands folded in her lap, trying to stay calm, trying to remember why she was doing this. At 9:30, there were only 2 performers left. A girl playing piano performed a Chopin piece. She was very good. The audience gave her strong applause. Then it was just Maya, the last performer of the night. The student assistant appeared in front of her. "Mrs. Santos, you're up next. Are you ready?" Maya stood up on shaky legs. "Yes. Good luck," the assistant said. She actually sounded sincere. Maya walked toward the stage door. Behind her, she could hear the students whispering. Some were giggling. Others were quiet, watching her with curious eyes. Brandon's voice carried across the room. "This is it, everyone. The moment we've all been waiting for. Let's see if the janitor can really play." Maya stopped at the stage door. Through the small window, she could see the concert hall. The lights were bright. The audience was huge. Every seat really was full. People were standing in the back. Some had cameras ready. This was it. There was no turning back now. The announcer's voice came through the speakers. "Our final performer tonight is Maya Santos. She will be playing Piano Concerto No. 2 by Rachmaninoff." There was a strange sound from the audience. Not quite applause. More like murmuring, whispers. Maya heard some laughs, some sounds of surprise. The stage door opened. The student assistant nodded at Maya. "It's time." Maya took a deep breath. She thought of Sophia sitting somewhere in that audience. She thought of her grandmother who had believed in her so much. She thought of all the years she had spent being invisible and small and quiet. Tonight, she would be none of those things. Maya stepped through the door and walked onto the stage. The lights were so bright they almost blinded her. She could barely see the audience, but she could hear them. Whispers everywhere. Some laughs, some gasps. She walked across the stage slowly. Her legs felt like they were made of water. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might explode. The piano sat in the center of the stage under the spotlight. It looked enormous, beautiful, terrifying. Maya reached the piano and stood beside it for a moment. She looked out at the audience. 400 faces all turned toward her, all waiting, all watching. She saw Brandon sitting in the 3rd row, his phone out, ready to record. She saw Ms. Chen sitting with the other teachers, her face tense with concern. She saw Sophia near the back, standing because all the seats were full. Sophia gave her a small wave and a smile. Maya took a deep breath and sat down at the piano bench. She adjusted her position. She placed her hands on the keys. They were shaking so badly she could barely keep them still. The audience grew quieter, waiting, watching. Maya closed her eyes. She thought about the girl in the photograph. The 18-year-old who had played this same piece 24 years ago. That girl had been so sure of herself, so confident, so full of dreams. Maya thought about everything that had happened since then. Her father's death, her failed marriage, the years of working multiple jobs, the exhaustion, the poverty, the humiliation, the countless times she had been ignored and dismissed and treated like she did not matter. All of it came together in this moment. All of it had led her to this stage. Maya opened her eyes. She stopped shaking. Her hands became steady. This was not about proving anything to Brandon or the other students. This was not about showing Miss Chen she had been wrong. This was not even about the music, really. This was about taking back her dignity. This was about standing up and saying, I matter. I have value. I am more than what you see. Maya took one final breath. Then she began to play. The first notes of Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2 floated out into the silent hall. Soft, gentle, like a whisper or a prayer. And everything changed. The murmuring stopped. The laughing stopped. The entire audience went completely still, because the sound that came from that piano was not the sound of a janitor pretending to play. It was not the sound of someone who had forgotten how to make music. It was the sound of someone who had lived, someone who had suffered, someone who had survived. It was the sound of a true pianist. Maya's fingers moved across the keys with grace she thought she had lost. The muscle memory came back stronger than ever. Her hands knew this piece. Her heart knew this piece. Her soul knew this piece. The music built slowly, note by note, phrase by phrase. The audience sat frozen, barely breathing. Some people leaned forward in their seats. Some had tears in their eyes. Maya played on. She forgot about the audience. She forgot about being nervous. She forgot about everything except the music pouring out of her hands. This was why she had given up everything all those years ago. This was why she had worked so hard. This was why she had endured so much. Because of this. Because of the beauty that could come from struggle. Because of the music that could only exist after you had known pain. The first movement built to its powerful climax. Maya's whole body moved with the music. Her fingers flew across the keys. The sound filled every corner of that enormous hall. And 400 people sat in absolute silence, watching a janitor transform into something they had never expected, watching her become someone they would never forget. Maya's fingers danced across the piano keys with a grace that seemed impossible. The second movement of Rachmaninoff's concerto began with soft, delicate notes that floated through the concert hall like falling leaves. This movement was the heart of the piece. Slow and emotional and achingly beautiful, it required not just technical skill but deep feeling. It required a performer to pour their soul into every note. Maya had that soul. She had earned it through years of sacrifice and loss, through nights of crying alone in her small apartment, through mornings of waking up exhausted and still getting up to work. Through moments of feeling invisible and worthless and forgotten. All of that pain came through her fingers now. All of that struggle became music. In the audience, people were crying openly. A woman in the 5th row had her hand over her mouth, tears streaming down her face. An older man in the back wiped his eyes with a handkerchief. Even some of the students who had come to laugh sat with stunned expressions. Brandon's phone was still in his hand, recording. But his smug smile was gone. His face had gone pale. His mouth hung open slightly. He looked like someone had slapped him. Ms. Chen sat with her hands gripping the armrests of her chair. She had taught piano for 20 years. She had heard countless performances. But this was something different. This was something special. Sophia stood at the back of the hall, tears running down her cheeks. She had known her mother could play, but she had never heard her mother play like this. With such power, such emotion, such pure, raw beauty. Maya continued through the second movement. Her eyes were closed now. She did not need to see the keys. Her hands knew where to go. They had known for 24 years, even when she was not playing. The music had been sleeping inside her all this time, waiting for this moment to wake up. The melody was heartbreaking. It spoke of love and loss, of dreams that die and hopes that fade, of the quiet desperation of ordinary life. But underneath the sadness, there was something else, something stronger. There was survival. There was endurance. There was the stubborn refusal to give up, even when everything seemed hopeless. The second movement ended with gentle, fading notes. For a moment, there was complete silence. No one moved. No one breathed. The music hung in the air like a ghost. Then Maya began the third movement. This movement was completely different, fast and powerful and triumphant. Her fingers flew across the keys in cascading runs. The piano seemed to sing and shout and celebrate all at once. This was the hardest part of the entire concerto. The part where many professional pianists made mistakes. The part that required perfect coordination between both hands. The part that separated good pianists from great ones. Maya played it flawlessly. Her hands moved so fast they blurred. The notes came out in rushing waves of sound. The rhythm pounded like a heartbeat. The melody soared above it all, proud and unbreakable. The audience sat transfixed. This was not just a performance anymore. This was something larger. This was witnessing transformation. This was watching someone take back everything that had been stolen from them. Maya's face showed the effort now. Sweat beaded on her forehead. Her arms and shoulders worked with the music. Every muscle in her body was engaged in bringing this piece to life. But she did not falter. She did not hesitate. She played with confidence that came from somewhere deep inside, from a place that remembered who she used to be, from a place that refused to forget. The third movement built toward its explosive finale. The music grew louder and faster. Maya's fingers pounded the keys with force. The piano's sound filled the entire hall until it seemed like the walls themselves were vibrating. In the front row, the Academy's director sat with his mouth open. He had not wanted this audition to happen. He had thought it would be an embarrassment. He had considered canceling it. Now he was witnessing something he would never forget. Behind him, parents who had come to see their own children perform sat in stunned silence. They had expected to be polite and clap when appropriate. Instead, they were experiencing something that made their hearts race and their eyes fill with tears. The students backstage had crept to the stage door to watch. They pressed against the small window, trying to see. Even the ones who had laughed at Maya, even the ones who had made cruel jokes, could not look away now. Maya reached the final section of the concerto. This was it, the last sprint to the finish, the part where everything came together in one final burst of power and emotion. Her hands moved with impossible speed. Left hand playing bass notes that rumbled like thunder, right hand playing melody lines that sparkled like lightning, both hands working together in perfect harmony. The sound was overwhelming, massive. It filled every corner of the hall and seemed to shake the foundation of the building itself. Maya's face was intense with concentration. She swayed with the music, her whole body moving. 24 years of silence were breaking open. 24 years of being small and quiet and invisible were ending in this moment of pure, undeniable presence. The final chords approached. Maya could feel them coming. Her entire being focused on these last few seconds, on making them perfect, on making them count. She struck the keys with all the force she had left. The sound exploded through the hall. One chord, two chords, three massive crashing chords that seemed to announce, I am here. I exist. I matter. The final note rang out, powerful and clear. Maya's hands lifted from the keys. The sound echoed through the hall, growing softer and softer until it faded into nothing. Then there was silence. Complete, absolute silence. Maya sat at the piano, her hands still raised above the keys. Her chest heaved as she tried to catch her breath. Sweat ran down her face. Her arms trembled from the effort. The silence stretched on. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Maya's heart sank. Had she done something wrong? Had the performance been terrible? Was the audience sitting in shocked silence because she had embarrassed herself? She lowered her hands slowly and looked out at the audience. 400 faces stared back at her. Mouths open, eyes wide, some with tears streaming down their cheeks. Then someone stood up. It was an older man in the back row. He began to clap slowly at first, then faster. His applause rang out in the silent hall. Then someone else stood, a woman in the middle section. She began clapping too. Then another person, and another, and another. Within seconds, the entire audience was on their feet, 400 people standing and applauding. The sound was deafening. It rolled over Maya like a wave. People were not just clapping. They were cheering, shouting. Some were crying and clapping at the same time. The noise grew louder and louder until it was almost painful. Maya sat at the piano, unable to move. She could not believe what was happening. This could not be real. This had to be a dream. The applause continued. It did not stop. It grew even louder. People in the back were whistling. Some were stomping their feet. It sounded like a concert by a famous performer, not a student showcase at a small music academy. Sophia pushed her way through the crowd toward the stage. She was sobbing and smiling at the same time. "Mom!" she shouted, though her voice was lost in the roar of applause. "Mom!" Ms. Chen stood in the aisle, clapping so hard her hands hurt. Tears ran freely down her face. She had been teaching for 20 years and had never witnessed anything like this. Never. Brandon sat in his seat, not standing. His phone had stopped recording at some point. He stared at Maya with an expression that was hard to read. Shock, disbelief, maybe even a little shame. His friends around him were standing and clapping, but Brandon remained seated, frozen. The academy's director climbed onto the stage. He walked over to Maya and offered his hand to help her stand. Maya took it, her legs shaky. She rose from the piano bench and the applause somehow grew even louder. The director gestured for Maya to take a bow. She did, bending forward slightly. When she straightened up, the audience erupted again. More cheering. More applause. The sound seemed like it would never end. Maya looked out at all those faces. These were the same people who had come to watch her fail. The same people who had expected her to embarrass herself. The same people who had seen her as nothing more than a janitor. But now they were standing for her. Applauding for her. Honoring her. The applause continued for 3 full minutes. People could not stop clapping. They did not want to stop. This was a moment they knew they would remember for the rest of their lives. Finally, gradually, the applause began to fade. People sat down slowly, reluctantly, but the energy in the room remained electric. Everyone was buzzing with excitement and emotion. The director spoke into the microphone. His voice shook slightly. "Ladies and gentlemen, Maya Santos." More applause erupted. The director had to wait for it to quiet down again before he could continue. He paused, searching for words. That was extraordinary. Simply extraordinary. In all my years at this academy, I have never witnessed a performance quite like that. The audience murmured in agreement. Several people called out, "Bravo!" Maya stood on the stage, still trying to process what had just happened. Her hands trembled. Her heart raced. She felt like she might faint or cry or laugh or all 3 at once. The director continued. "Maya, would you please stay on stage for a moment? I think we all have some questions." Maya nodded, though she was not sure she could speak. Her throat felt tight with emotion. A woman in the front row raised her hand. "Where did you learn to play like that?" Maya's voice came out rough and quiet. "My grandmother taught me in Manila, a long time ago." "But why are you working as a janitor?" Another person called out. "With talent like that, you should be performing professionally." Maya did not know how to answer that. How could she explain in a few words? How could she make them understand what the last 24 years had been like? "Life happened," she said simply. "I had to make choices. I had responsibilities." Ms. Chen stood up. "Maya, I owe you an apology. A public one. I challenged you out of frustration and sarcasm, never imagining. I had no idea." "It's okay," Maya said quietly. "I understand." "No, it's not okay," Ms. Chen said, her voice thick with emotion. "I underestimated you. I judged you based on your job instead of seeing you as a person." "I'm deeply sorry," the audience murmured. Several people nodded in agreement. A man in an expensive suit stood up. "I'm Marcus Thornton, director of the City Symphony Orchestra. Ms. Santos, we hold auditions twice a year for new pianists. I would very much like you to audition for us. We have an opening, and after tonight's performance, I think you would be an excellent candidate." Maya's eyes went wide. The City Symphony Orchestra? That was one of the most prestigious orchestras in the region. Professional musicians competed for positions there. I don't know what to say," Maya stammered. "Say yes," Thornton said with a smile. "At least consider it." Another woman stood. She wore fashionable clothes and carried an expensive handbag. "I'm Rebecca Lynn from Channel 7 News. I would love to do a story about you. The human interest angle here is incredible. A janitor with a hidden talent, performing one of the most difficult pieces in classical music. Our viewers would love this story." More people began calling out. Offers of interviews. Invitations to perform. Requests for private lessons. The noise grew overwhelming. The director raised his hands for quiet. "Please, everyone, let's give Ms. Santos a moment. This has been an emotional evening for all of us, but especially for her." Maya felt dizzy. This was too much. All these offers, all these people wanting to talk to her. An hour ago she had been terrified of embarrassing herself. Now everyone wanted something from her. Maya's voice shook. "I need some air. Please excuse me." She walked off the stage quickly, her legs barely holding her up. The audience began applauding again as she left, but Maya barely heard it. She pushed through the backstage door and kept walking. The backstage area was empty now. All the students had gone out to the lobby to talk about what they had just witnessed. Maya found a quiet corner and leaned against the wall. Her whole body was shaking. She slid down the wall until she was sitting on the floor. And then finally she let herself cry. They were not tears of sadness. They were tears of release, of relief, of overwhelming emotion that had nowhere else to go. For 24 years she had carried the weight of lost dreams. For 24 years she had been invisible. For 24 years she had been just a janitor, just a poor immigrant, just someone people looked through instead of at. But tonight she had been seen. Really seen. Not as a janitor or an immigrant or a poor woman in a borrowed dress, but as an artist, as a person with value and talent and worth. The door opened and Sophia ran in. She saw her mother on the floor and immediately knelt beside her. "Mom, are you okay? Why are you crying?" Maya pulled her daughter into a tight hug. "I'm okay, Mija. I'm better than okay. I needed a moment. Mom, you were amazing. Everyone is talking about you. People are asking for your autograph. Can you believe it? Your autograph!" Maya laughed through her tears. "It's crazy. All of this is crazy. It's not crazy. It's what you deserve. You've always deserved this." They sat together on the floor for several minutes. Maya held her daughter and tried to absorb what had just happened. Her life had changed in the span of 15 minutes. Everything was different now. There was a gentle knock on the door. Ms. Chen peeked her head in. "Maya, are you all right? The lobby is full of people who want to talk to you." Maya stood up slowly with Sophia's help. She wiped her eyes and tried to compose herself. "I look terrible." "You look beautiful," Sophia said firmly. "You look like someone who just gave the performance of a lifetime," Ms. Chen added. She paused, then said softly, "Maya, I really am sorry. For everything. You deserve better than how I treated you." "We all deserve better than how we sometimes get treated," Maya said. "Let's just move forward." Ms. Chen nodded, looking relieved. "The director wants to speak with you privately, before you face all those people in the lobby. He's in his office." Maya followed Ms. Chen through the backstage corridors to the director's office. Sophia came with her, holding her mother's hand. The director, Dr. Harrison, stood when they entered. He was an older man with gray hair and kind eyes. Maya had seen him many times while cleaning but had never spoken to him directly. "Mrs. Santos," he said, gesturing to a chair. "Please sit." Maya sat down carefully. Her heart was still racing. What did the director want? Was she in trouble for some reason? "First," Dr. Harrison said, "I want to echo Ms. Chen's apology. This entire situation should never have happened the way it did. You should not have been challenged or mocked or made to feel less than." "It's okay," Maya said. "It's not okay," Dr. Harrison said firmly, "but it did lead to one of the most remarkable performances I've ever witnessed. You have extraordinary talent, Ms. Santos, that much is clear." "Thank you," Maya said quietly. Dr. Harrison leaned forward. "I have a proposal for you. The Academy offers a very limited number of full scholarships each year for adult students who wish to complete or continue their musical education. I would like to offer you one of those scholarships." Maya stared at him. "A scholarship?" "Full tuition," Dr. Harrison said, "including private lessons with our best instructors. You could complete a degree in piano performance. It would take about 3 years of part-time study. And of course you would no longer work as custodial staff. We would find you a different position, perhaps as a teaching assistant or in our administrative offices. Something that pays better and allows you time to study." Maya could not speak. She looked at Sophia, who was grinning widely. "Mom, this is amazing," Sophia said. "You have to say yes." Maya shook her head slowly. "I don't know what to say." "This is so generous, but..." "But?" Dr. Harrison asked gently. "But I'm 42 years old," Maya said. "I have a daughter to support. I have bills to pay. I can't afford to be a student again. I need to work. The new position would pay 20% more than your current salary," Dr. Harrison said, "and the hours would be more flexible. You could work and study at the same time. It won't be easy, but it's possible." Maya's mind raced. Go back to school? Study music again? Become a pianist? These were dreams she had buried so long ago she had forgotten they existed. "Can I think about it?" Maya asked. "Of course," Dr. Harrison said. "Take all the time you need. But Maya, I want you to know something. You belong here, Not cleaning our floors, though that work is honorable. But making music, teaching music, sharing your gift with others, that's where you belong. Tears filled Maya's eyes again. Thank you, she whispered. There was a knock on the door. The student assistant peeked in. Dr. Harrison? I'm sorry to interrupt, but there are a lot of people in the lobby waiting to speak with Ms. Santos. The local news is here, and someone says they're from a record label. It's getting pretty crowded. Dr. Harrison looked at Maya. Are you ready to face them? You can leave through the back if you prefer. No one would blame you. Maya stood up. She smoothed down her borrowed blue dress. She took a deep breath. I'm ready, she said. Because she had spent 24 years being invisible, 24 years hiding in corners and shadows, 24 years making herself small so no one would notice her. Tonight she had stepped into the light. And she was not going to hide anymore. Maya walked into the lobby with Sophia and Ms. Chen beside her. The crowd of people turned to look at her. There had to be at least 50 people gathered there, all waiting to speak with her. There she is, someone shouted. Everyone rushed toward Maya at once. Questions came from all directions. Cameras flashed. Microphones were shoved in her face. The noise was overwhelming. How long have you been hiding this talent? Will you perform professionally now? What made you decide to audition? Can I get a photo with you? Maya felt panic rising in her chest. This was too much. Too many people. Too many questions. She took a step backward. Dr. Harrison appeared at her side. He raised his hands for quiet. Please, everyone, Ms. Santos has had an emotional evening. Let's give her some space. If you want to schedule interviews or meetings, please leave your contact information with our front desk. Ms. Santos will reach out when she's ready. Some people protested, but Dr. Harrison was firm. He guided Maya and Sophia toward a side exit away from the crowd. Thank you, Maya whispered. You don't owe anyone anything tonight, Dr. Harrison said. Go home, rest, process what happened. We can deal with everything else later. Maya and Sophia walked to the parking lot. The cool night air felt good on Maya's flushed face. When they reached her old car, Maya leaned against it and closed her eyes. I can't believe what just happened, she said. I can, Sophia said. I always knew you were special, Mom. Now everyone else knows it too. They drove home in comfortable silence. Maya was exhausted physically and emotionally. Her hands ached from playing. Her mind felt foggy and overwhelmed. When they got to their small apartment, Maya changed into comfortable clothes and made tea. She and Sophia sat at their tiny kitchen table, the same place they had sat just a week ago when this all began. What are you going to do, Mom? Sophia asked. About the scholarship? About all those offers? I don't know, Maya admitted. It's all happening so fast. I need time to think, her phone buzzed. Maya looked at it. She had 37 missed calls and over 100 text messages. Most were from numbers she did not recognize. One text was from a cousin in the Philippines. Maya's stomach sank as she read it. I saw your video online. Everyone is talking about it here. Remember when Papa was sick and I lent you money? You said you would pay me back when you could. You have money now for fancy piano performances. When will you pay me? Maya put the phone down. Her hands were shaking. What's wrong? Sophia asked my cousin. From back home. She saw the video. She's asking for money I borrowed years ago for Grandpa's medical treatment. Sophia's face darkened. But Mom, you paid that back. I remember. You sent her money 5 years ago. I paid back some of it, not all. There's still about $2,000 I owe. Another text came in. Then another. Maya's phone kept buzzing. Other relatives from the Philippines. Friends she had not heard from in years. All of them suddenly remembering loans or favors or money they claimed Maya owed them. This is what happens, Maya said quietly. When people think you have something, they come looking for a piece of it. But you don't have anything. Sophia said angrily. You're still working as a janitor. You're still poor. Nothing has changed. In their minds, it has changed. They saw me on that stage. They think I must be rich now. They think I've been hiding money from them. Sophia grabbed her mother's phone and turned it off. Don't answer any of them tonight, just rest. We'll figure this out tomorrow. But Maya could not rest. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Her mind would not stop racing. The performance kept replaying in her head. The applause, the offers, the scholarship, the questions, the demands for money. Around midnight, there was a knock on their apartment door. Maya got up carefully. Sophia was already asleep in her room. Maya looked through the peephole and saw a man in a suit standing in the hallway. "Who is it?" Maya called through the door. "Immigration and Customs Enforcement," the man said. He held up a badge. "I need to ask you some questions about your work authorization." Maya's blood went cold. Her hands started shaking as she unlocked the door. She kept the chain on. "What is this about?" she asked. "We saw the video of your performance," the man said. "Very impressive, but it raised some questions. Your current work visa is for custodial work. Performing for audiences and potentially receiving payment for artistic performances may violate the terms of your visa. We need to verify your immigration status." "I was not paid for that performance," Maya said. "It was a student showcase at the school where I work. Still, we need you to come in for an interview. Monday morning, 9 a.m. He handed her a card through the crack in the door. "This is the address. Bring all your immigration documents. Your passport, visa, work authorization, everything." "Am I in trouble?" "We just need to verify some information. Make sure everything is in order." He smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "We'll see you Monday." After he left, Maya closed the door and leaned against it. Her heart pounded in her chest. Immigration. They were investigating her. Because of the performance. Because she had dared to show her talent. The cost of honesty, she thought. This is the cost. She did not sleep the rest of the night. By the time the sun came up, Maya had made a decision. She would turn down the scholarship. She would avoid the media interviews. She would go back to being invisible. It was safer that way. But when Sophia woke up and Maya told her about the immigration visit, her daughter's reaction surprised her. "No," Sophia said firmly. "You are not going to hide again. You did nothing wrong. You didn't break any laws. You just played piano at a school event. They have no reason to deport you. But Mija, if I make trouble, if I draw attention..." "Mom, you have been afraid for too long. You have made yourself small for too long. Whatever happens, we will face it together. But you cannot give up everything you just earned because you're scared." Sophia's words made Maya cry. Her daughter was so brave, so strong. When had she grown up so much? Over the weekend, the video of Maya's performance went viral. By Saturday afternoon, it had been viewed over 2 million times on various social media platforms. News outlets across the country picked up the story. Janitor's hidden talent stuns audience. Immigrant mother's powerful piano performance goes viral. When the cleaning lady played, Maya's phone would not stop ringing. She finally turned it on to call her lawyer, a kind woman who had helped her with immigration papers years ago. The lawyer agreed to come to the ICE interview on Monday. On Sunday, Maya went to church like she did every week. But this week was different. People recognized her. They stared and whispered. Some came up to congratulate her. Others asked for selfies. "I'm so proud of you," an older Filipino woman said. "You represent all of us. All of us who came here and worked hard jobs nobody wanted. You showed them we are more than what they see." But not everyone was supportive. Maya overheard 2 women talking in the church bathroom. "She thinks she's better than us now," one said, playing fancy piano while the rest of us scrubbed toilets. "I heard she's been lying about being poor," the other said. "Someone said she has money hidden away in the Philippines." Maya left the church early. She felt like walls were closing in on her from every direction. Monday morning came too quickly. Maya dressed in simple clothes and met her lawyer outside the ICE office. Her hands shook as they walked inside. The interview lasted 2 hours. They asked about her work history, her visa status, her performance, whether she had been paid, whether she planned to work as a professional musician. Maya answered honestly. She explained that she had not been paid, that the performance was a one-time thing, that she was still working as a custodian at the academy. "But you've been offered a scholarship," the interviewer said. "That's what the news says." "I have not accepted it," Maya said. "Why not?" "Because," Maya paused, "because she was afraid, because she did not want this attention, because she wanted to go back to being invisible where it was safe." But her lawyer spoke up. "Because Ms. Santos is considering all her options carefully. The scholarship is for educational purposes, which is perfectly legal under her current visa status. She would continue working her regular job while studying part-time. There is nothing in her visa terms that prevents this." The interviewer looked through his papers. After what felt like an eternity, he nodded. "You're right. Everything appears to be in order. Ms. Santos, you're free to go. If your situation changes, If you begin working professionally as a musician, you'll need to adjust your visa status. But for now, you're fine, Maya almost cried with relief. Thank you. Outside the building, she thanked her lawyer profusely. I was so scared they would deport me. They have no grounds to, the lawyer said. You've done nothing wrong. You've followed every rule. Don't let fear control your life, Maya. You've earned the right to pursue your dreams. Maya went straight to the academy. It was Monday afternoon, time for her regular shift. She changed into her gray uniform and began her custodial work like always. But it felt different now. Students stopped to talk to her. Teachers smiled and waved. The academy director saw her in the hallway and asked if she had thought about the scholarship offer. I have, Maya said. I need to talk to you about it. They went to his office. Maya sat down and took a deep breath. I cannot accept the full scholarship, she said. Dr. Harrison looked disappointed. May I ask why? Because it's too much. Maya sat down in a chair near the door. I'm not here to yell at you. Brandon looked surprised. You're not? No, I'm here to thank you. Thank me? For what, for being a jerk? For challenging me, Maya said. If you hadn't pushed me, if you hadn't made me so angry, I never would have signed up for that audition. I would have stayed invisible forever. So yes, I'm thanking you. Brandon stared at her. I don't understand you. Have you ever felt like you don't belong somewhere? Maya asked. Like everyone around you is better than you? Like you have to prove yourself constantly? Brandon was quiet for a moment. Then he nodded slowly. Yeah, actually, yeah. My older brother is this amazing musician, concert violinist. My parents compare me to him constantly. Nothing I do is ever good enough. That's why you act the way you do, Maya said gently. You put other people down to feel better about yourself. But Brandon, it doesn't work. It just makes you smaller. I know, Brandon said quietly. He looked at his violin. After I heard you play that night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about how I judged you, how I assumed you were nobody just because you cleaned floors. I felt like the smallest person in the world. Good, Maya said. Feel that. Remember that. And then be better. Brandon looked up at her. Can you teach me? Not violin, I mean, but how to play with feeling like you do. My technique is good, but my playing is empty. It has no soul, Maya considered this. I'm starting a teaching position here in 2 weeks. But I'm teaching piano, not violin. That's okay. Maybe you could just talk to me sometimes. Give me advice. I'll pay you. I don't want your money, Maya said. But yes, I'll talk to you sometimes. Because everyone deserves a second chance, including you. Brandon's eyes got watery. Thank you, Mrs. Santos. Call me Maya. 2 weeks later, Maya started her new position. She arrived at the academy not through the back employee entrance, but through the front doors. Not in a gray uniform, but in clean, simple clothes that made her feel dignified. Her classroom was small but bright. A piano sat in the corner. 8 chairs were arranged in a semicircle. On each chair was a folder with a student's name. Maya's first students arrived nervously. They were all between ages 10 and 15, all from families that struggled financially. 2 were immigrants like Maya, 1 was in foster care, 1 had a parent in prison. All of them had been told at some point that they did not belong in a place like the Hartwell Music Academy. Hello, Maya said to them. My name is Maya Santos. Some of you may have seen the video of me playing piano a few weeks ago. A few students nodded. 1 girl raised her hand. You were amazing. I watched it 10 times. Thank you, Maya said. But that video doesn't show everything. It doesn't show all the years I couldn't play. It doesn't show all the times I felt worthless. It doesn't show all the sacrifices I made. Today I want to tell you the whole story, and then I want to hear your stories. Maya spent the first class telling them about her life, about her grandmother teaching her piano, about her father getting sick, about giving up her dreams to work and survive, about coming to America and cleaning floors, about being invisible for so long. The students listened with wide eyes. When Maya finished, several of them had tears in their eyes. Why are you telling us this? A boy asked. Because I want you to know that your circumstances do not define you, Maya said. Being poor does not make you less talented. Having a hard life does not mean you can't create beauty. You all have gifts. My job is to help you find them and develop them. One by one, the students shared their stories, their struggles, their dreams, their fears. Maya listened to each one with her full attention. By the end of that first class, Maya knew she had made the right choice. This was where she belonged. not on concert stages performing for wealthy audiences, but in this small classroom, working with kids who needed someone to believe in them. Over the next few months, Maya's life settled into a new rhythm. She taught her classes 3 days a week. She took her own classes to improve her skills. She practiced piano late at night when the academy was quiet. She paid back her debts slowly, month by month. The media attention faded. The offers from record labels and orchestras stopped coming. Life went back to normal, or at least a new version of normal. Sophia thrived. She had been accepted to the academy as a vocal student on scholarship. Mother and daughter often crossed paths in the hallways, sharing quick smiles and waves. Brandon came to talk with Maya once a week. Slowly, his playing improved, not just technically but emotionally. He learned to play with feeling instead of just showing off. Maya's cousin in the Philippines continued to demand money occasionally, but Maya simply paid what she could when she could. Some relatives were supportive. Others were jealous and bitter. Maya learned to accept both reactions and not let either one control her. 6 months after the famous performance, the Academy held another student showcase. This time it featured Maya's students. The 8 kids from her class performed pieces they had learned. They were not perfect. They made mistakes. But they played with heart, with passion, with the knowledge that someone believed in them. Maya sat in the audience watching them, her eyes filled with tears of pride. This, she thought, this is why I'm here. After the showcase, one of her students, a 12-year-old girl named Rosa, came to find Maya. "Thank you," Rosa said quietly. "Before I met you, I thought I wasn't good enough for this school. I thought I didn't belong. And now?" Maya asked. "Now I know I belong here just as much as anyone else." "You taught me that." Maya hugged Rosa tightly. "You taught yourself that. I just reminded you." That night, Maya drove home feeling content. Her car was still old. Her apartment was still small. She was not rich or famous. She had not become a concert pianist or achieved any of her original dreams. But she had something better. She had purpose. She had dignity. She had the chance to make a difference in the lives of kids who needed her. The cost of honesty had been high. It had brought unwanted attention, immigration investigations, family demands, public scrutiny, the loss of her anonymity and the safety of being invisible. But the rewards were higher. Self-respect, the chance to use her gifts, the ability to help others, the knowledge that she mattered, that she was more than a janitor, more than a poor immigrant, more than what people saw when they looked at her. When Maya got home, Sophia was studying at the kitchen table. She looked up and smiled when her mother walked in. "How was the showcase?" Sophia asked. "Perfect," Maya said. "Your turn is next week, right?" "Yeah, I'm nervous." "Don't be," Maya said. "Just remember what I learned. It's not about being perfect. It's about being honest, about showing people who you really are." "Like you did," Sophia said. "Like I did," Maya agreed. She made tea and sat down across from her daughter. Outside the window, the city lights twinkled in the darkness. Somewhere out there were people who still thought she was just a janitor. People who had never seen the video. People who would never know her story, and that was okay, because Maya knew who she was now. She knew her own worth. She had stopped hiding and started living. The girl in the photograph, the 18-year-old with the confident smile and the beautiful gown, had finally come back. Not in the way Maya had expected, not with fame or fortune or concert tours, but with something better, with truth, with purpose, with the courage to be fully herself no matter what anyone else thought. That night before going to bed, Maya looked at the old photograph one more time. The girl standing in front of the orchestra about to play Rachmaninoff's concerto for the first time. "I kept my promise," Maya whispered to that girl. "I came back. It just took a little longer than we planned." She put the photograph away and turned off the light. Tomorrow she would wake up early. She would teach her classes. She would practice her piano. She would live her life with honesty and dignity. They had laughed at her when she signed up for that audition. They had expected her to fail. They had seen her as nothing more than a janitor who did not know her place, but she had proven them wrong. Not by becoming rich or famous, not by achieving conventional success. She had proven them wrong simply by showing up, by being brave enough to try, by refusing to stay invisible, by being honest about who she was and what she could do. The cost of that honesty had been high. But Maya had learned something important, something she would teach to her students, something she would carry with her for the rest of her life. The cost of honesty is sometimes painful. It brings challenges and complications and unwanted attention. It makes you vulnerable to judgment and criticism and demands from others. But the cost of dishonesty is higher. The cost of hiding who you are. The cost of making yourself small and invisible. The cost of burying your gifts and pretending you are less than you are. That cost was unbearable. Maya had paid it for 24 years. She would not pay it anymore. As she drifted off to sleep, Maya smiled. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. New students to teach, new pieces to learn, new ways to grow and help others grow. But tonight she could rest. Tonight she could be at peace with herself, because she had finally learned to live honestly. And that, she had discovered, was worth everything.